Hey everyone, Clayton here. Well, President Biden's infrastructure bill that was just passed in the Senate has some amazing investing opportunities, and we're just starting to scratch the surface of what's actually in this bill and where all of this money is going. Today, I'm revealing an energy source that no one is talking about, and they're missing a huge opportunity. And you know, I'm always investing in areas that most people miss, and there is definitely a supply versus demand imbalance that has gone completely out of hand. Calling this whole thing a supply chain crunch or a deficit doesn't actually fully describe what's actually happening in the industry today, in my opinion. I mean, non-existent really isn't an exaggeration. The United States continues to struggle just to get a sliver of this particular global industry pie. And this is deeply concerning to me, and it should be to all of you. But as an investor, there's a huge mega opportunity here, the size that very few other industries have even come close to offering. To put this bluntly, it's a total lie. Total lie that somehow America's plants are using a US produced source of this clean energy. They are not. In 2020, US operators remain highly reliant on foreign sources for it. Listen to this, 22% from Kazakhstan, 22% from Canada, 16% from Russia, 11% from Australia, 8% from Uzbekistan, 5% from Namibia. America is so dependent on other nations for such an essential energy source. This is truly unsettling scenario. Think about this. Nuclear power plants provide roughly 20% of the electricity in the United States. And yet domestically, our production of uranium output is tiny, fractional. America literally is producing less than 1% of its own uranium. I mean, when we talk about being energy independent, what the hell are we talking about here? Is it oil? Is that it? A dying form of fossil fuel that companies are running away from as fast as they possibly can? We are not energy independent, although we like to talk a big game, right? I mean, take a look at this. Asian nations right now are working around the clock to grow their nuclear footprint, putting the United States at an even greater disadvantage in the race to adopt clean, sustainable energy. Just look across Europe. You know, today the United States imports more than 90% of the uranium that it's using. And the last thing that the US government wants is for the country to compromise its energy security by being dependent on foreign sources of uranium. And like I mentioned, a huge percentage of our uranium is coming from Russia. This is all taking place at the worst possible timing, since the nation's electricity demand will increase drastically, according to the Department of Energy. Just look at the blackouts that we've seen in California and the disaster that happened in Texas with their energy grid and the amount of homes that are now being built across the United States. That demand is off the charts. So all of this means that the country is going to require hundreds of new nuclear power plants in order to maintain America's current living standards. And that's why the green energy and ESG, environmental, social, and governance movement are among the most significant, impactful, and lucrative industries in 2021. Governments around the world are increasingly incentivizing green initiatives. The primary objectives include avoiding the use of fossil fuels and finding cleaner alternatives to avoid polluting the planet beyond its current state. The race to zero emissions is heating up among the world's most powerful nations. Just look, President Xi Jinping announced that China would strive to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. Denmark set out plans in 2018 to build a climate neutral society by the year 2050. The European Commission is working towards a multinational 2050 net zero emissions target under a Green New Deal across Europe. And in the United States, President Biden ran on a climate platform to aim for net zero emissions by 2050.
So today, I'm announcing my plan for a clean energy revolution.
Biden promised a clean energy revolution and 100% clean energy by 2035. The infrastructure plan promises to make transformational and historic investments in clean transportation infrastructure. And the Biden administration has made it crystal clear that it is pro-nuclear energy in its carbon neutral vision. It's a big component of this. Therefore, many big investors like myself are jumping headfirst into the long side of the ESG trade. BlackRock, for instance, the world's largest asset management company, expects that ESG investment could become a $1 trillion category by 2030. Just watch where the money is flowing right now, folks. ESG investing now accounts for 1/3 of all total U.S. assets under management. One survey found that about 1/3 of millennials often or exclusively use investments that take ESG factors into account. Yes, when millennials invest in companies now, they want to make sure that these companies are following these environmental standards or they're not going to invest in them. So now let's understand the fundamentals of why this is a crazy opportunity. 1 kilogram of natural uranium will yield about 20,000 times as much energy as the same amount of coal. Sorry, Joe Manchin out of West Virginia, but there is a highly efficient, portable, and tradable commodity in uranium, unlike coal. And in my opinion, the ultimate way to capitalize on this trend is by looking into Uranium Energy Corp, which is right now on the New York Stock Exchange, UEC. Check them out, which has done something remarkable that no other company has done. They've actually purchased physical uranium in order to have a supply ready as soon as the time comes that they need to sell this inventory. This is brilliant, brilliant. And in my mind, equates to a gold mining company hoarding its production of gold through a bear market with the purpose of selling it at higher prices. And guess what? It also owns the physical supply. So it owns 14 million shares of the only uranium royalty company in the world. In the world. It owns and is developing the newest and largest ISR production area in the United States. And guess what? It also has a former energy secretary on its board of directors, Spencer Abraham. So I consider Uranium Energy Corp, which again is ticker symbol UEC, as the most inclusive and comprehensive way to get into uranium right now, since the company is focused on production. Yet it indirectly owns royalty projects and uranium physical drums. This is the only uranium company I will ever invest in, if that tells you how much of a top priority is for me right now. Uranium Energy Corp is one of the only uranium companies on the New York Stock Exchange. And it's a company that encompasses many of the angles of commodities value chain in one company. Now here's the real shocker. The world's leading country on this is Kazakhstan, and is using only a specific type of extraction methodology, which is called in situ, which is ISR mining. And Kazakhstan, the dominator in the global uranium market, only operates that way. So this ISR methodology is by far the cheapest, most effective, and it's the cleanest way to mine uranium and produce it. And this process is becoming the gold standard of uranium production methods. So Uranium Energy Corp owns ISR and a production-ready project on U.S. soil right now, which makes it rare and special since they're located in Texas and in Wyoming. Conduct your own due diligence on Uranium Energy Corp. Dig through their data right now. Go to Yahoo Finance and dig through it. Keep in mind that it's the only uranium company whose board of directors includes a former energy secretary. Most people aren't even aware of how vital nuclear energy is to their daily lives. In particular, nuclear energy currently provides about 10% of the world's electricity. Nuclear energy is the world's second largest source of low carbon power. Over 50 countries use nuclear energy in about 220 research reactors. France, for instance, gets around 75% of its entire electricity in the country from nuclear energy. So in terms of efficient energy production, nuclear energy is superior. So for example, the difference in the heat value of uranium compared with coal, again, sorry, Joe Manchin, get this, as a 1 million kilowatt coal-fired power station consumes about 3.2 million metric tons of black coal each year, while its nuclear reactor counterpart only consumes about 24 metric tons of uranium. Stark difference. Again, sorry, Joe Manchin. In America, nuclear power has been used for over 6 full decades to provide constant, reliable, and carbon-free energy. And heading into this year, the uranium market faces a major supply deficit of 23.6 million pounds, or about 13% of the global demand. The opportunity here is off the charts. And UEC is run by Amir Adnani. Mr. Adnani has been selected as one of the future leaders of the mining industry, and Fortune magazine distinguished him on their 40 under 40 ones to watch list of North American executives. And now get this, from March 2020 lows to its high in June 2021, just a little while ago, 2 months ago, the stock has surged by 600%. But it has since corrected by 40% in just 2 months. So that, to me, if you're tracking all of this, is the perfect buy in the dip moment as I see it, as I just did. And as I said, it trades on the New York Stock Exchange and is easily accessible through all brokerages and platforms, even Robinhood and Webull. I love Webull, as you know, so you can use it right there on the Webull platform. So go and check it out right now. Again, the stock ticker is in the description below. Do your due diligence, dive into the data, and start to see what an incredible opportunity this is as it relates to this infrastructure package moving forward. We'll see you next time, everyone.